What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Real Talk NFTs, where we talk everything Web3. Super excited today. You know my amazing co-host, Brian. And today we got Mike Levy, co-founder of Flowty, here to talk all things Flowty and, of course, other NFTs. We're going to get into it. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me on and very excited to chat.
We appreciate you jumping on tax day because we know how busy you are and everyone is on tax day.
It is the worst of days. Actually, the accountant that I work with, last year they submitted my taxes late and I got hit with a fee that they covered, fortunately. And so they said this year, get all your information in a month early. So fortunately, I've been done for a month, just wrapping a few small things up today. So smooth sailing,
Nice.
Fortunately. What about you guys? How's tax day looking for
Nice.
you?
Haven't even started. I boot mines every year, unfortunately.
Same,
And
same. But
I'm
the
waiting for some.
estimate, though, the estimate.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just gonna say I sent my estimate in, which was gross. Wanted to throw up all over myself, but that's in the threshold of what I had to get in, and now I'll worry about 6 months. I'll start worrying in about 5 months. But I did see something. I don't know how true this is, so someone fact check me. But it sounds true that the Pentagon failed another audit and they lost trillions with a T, not an M, millions, not a B, billions. We're talking trillions of dollars, and I'm like, is this real life?
So yes, that's true. There's a lot of funny things around tax day. The funny meme that always goes around is, people play out IRS talking to taxpayers. Like IRS, you're ready to put in your payment for this year, and the person's sweating, saying, trying to figure out how much I owe, and they submit some amount of money, and they're like, IRS, is this right? Have I submitted the right amount of money? We can't tell you. Okay, what happens if I'm wrong? We throw you in jail. How do you know if I'm wrong? Because we know the number. It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, we're not going to bore people with tax stuff today. We're here to talk about the fun stuff, which is digital assets, NFTs. But I'm fascinated. I mean, tell us about your background. I know you are the co-founder of Flowty, and I've transacted a ton on Flowty. And we see you got the NBA Top Shot. And unfortunately, I'm wearing the NLL shirt because I am in there. Tell us, give us how'd you get into, being a collector to a founder now? And you guys are smashing. So we would like to hear your story.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. So professionally, I was a finance guy for a while, did investment banking, did private equity, did family office, and then came across crypto in general, really in 2017. I did a deeper dive and started buying some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, which did fine. I didn't put too much money in at the time, and left it very passively until 2020. So fast forward to 2020. Middle of lockdown. I'm a big sports fan in general, like basketball, baseball, football, tennis, and I like collecting in general. Not a huge amount, but some stuff. I've got some visuals here. I've got some sports cards on the desk, Messi, Jordan, Alvarez, some other stuff. And as a quick aside, I go to a new baseball stadium every year with a friend of mine to get a bobblehead from a new baseball stadium. So I have collecting in my nature, in my blood, and COVID was a little tough for me. We were stuck indoors. Sports kind of slowed down, and I came across a tweet in September of 2020 talking about this new digital collectibles platform called Top Shot. That was essentially the platform we know and love today, and it was saying that they just crossed $1 million in secondary volume. It's in a closed beta period, and I was like, this looks interesting. So I sent a DM to the Top Shot Twitter account saying hi, read about your platform, sounds interesting. How do I get in? And they said, oh, just send an email to this address on Monday. We'll send you an invite link. So they did that. I joined in, and I bought a first pack, which was, I think, Throwdowns in Series 1, and I pulled a Montrezl Harrell Throwdowns moment, and I think I paid $26 for the pack, and
Nice.
Opened up $9 worth of stuff in the pack, and was like, this is terrible. What am I doing here? What a bad experience. I was like, I felt guilty the rest of the day. I was like, what did I just do? This feels like a scam. And then I started doing a little bit more reading about it. Saw they have an NBA license. They had an investment from some of the bigger VCs in the world. They had buy-in from a lot of NBA players themselves. And I was like, okay, this maybe isn't a scam. So I decided to open one more pack, and it was a conference semifinals pack. And I lucked into getting the LeBron James jersey cereal from that set.
Oh,
And
nice.
the people of the community were very excited. I was excited. It was all good. And so I started, asking people in the community kind of like, what is going on? What is all this blockchain NFT stuff? They taught me a lot about it, and I kind of went down the rabbit hole pretty hard. And I built up a pretty big collection with one technique in particular. I don't know if you guys remember, but early Top Shot days, you couldn't withdraw from your account. You
Yeah.
could buy and sell and trade in Dapper Balance, but
Yep.
you couldn't convert Dapper Balance into real money. It was monopoly money for a while. And so what I did was there were a few disgruntled people who just wanted to get money off the platform. And so I said to them, I will send you money directly, PayPal, Venmo, Ethereum, Bitcoin, anything. But I want a nice deal. And so I bought a couple thousand moments like that, basically, in Series 1, built up some nice stacks of some fun things. And realistically, there were 200 to 1,000, probably in that range, people on the platform at the time. And so if you wanted something, you could find who owned it and have a negotiation and do it up. And this was, kind of late 2020, and then things blew up, and here we are.
Nice. What's your teams? You don't mind me asking?
I'm a Knicks fan, so mixed feelings about getting the 2 seed. Obviously, worry about Philly coming out of the play-in. Even Miami probably would have been happier in the 3 seed against the Pacers. So yeah, Knicks fan, Yankees fan. Football's weird, and I don't think we're going to spend the time talking about it. So I'm not saying my football team. We can talk about it offline. There you go. You guys found a question for an offline response. And yeah, that's a sports background.
Yeah, I was saying a moment ago that I remember the happy hour days, dude, with like Peter and Pete and Andy and you, and I would like watch that. No shit, religiously, dude. I was so excited when you guys would pop on because I was like, hey, these guys seem into the same things I'm into, these crazy moments, and I was a big Series 1 collector, kind of like the whole thesis behind it. You're investing in a platform backed by the NBA, backed by players, and season 1 makes a lot of sense. And, we all saw kind of Top Shot, what they did over season 2 and season 3 and some other seasons, but it really feels like it's coming back bullish recently. Would love to have your thoughts on it there. Joe's been absolutely killing it with like flipping packs and buying packs, probably the last like 3 to 6 months. It's really heated up. Have you been as active now, or has like since day one you're just an active Top Shot truther and you've just been rocking and rolling from day one you got in?
Yeah, good question. So very fun and nostalgic to think back to the active club Top Shot days. You didn't give Settlement a shout out. He's not going to be happy with you.
Yeah. Jack was there too, man.
The fifth component.
You guys rotated a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, the panelists were the least exciting people. We had some fun guests over time. We had Ja Rule, we had Isaiah Stewart, we had Damian Lee, we had Roz, we had, I don't know, I'm trying to remember, but we had a lot of fun people. But in general, so I would say my collecting strategy overall has been pretty focused on Series 1. I just know from collecting other things and generally what people like. People like first editions of things. People like scarce things in general. And people like signals in a sense. And between the Top Shot debut badge, which is on most of the kind of key players in the ecosystem in Series 1, the scarcity of things, the defining aspect of Series 1, which because things started in 2020, there isn't a true rookie moment for LeBron, for Luka, for a lot of the top players. And so Series 1, for some people, kind of represents that. And so from my perspective, that's always been where I focus. And so generally, if I have any other moments, it's because they are unique to Series 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Just as an example, the Vince Carter All-Star Game dunk, it's over. That play isn't available in Series 1, but I wanted to own it. So I have one of those. The LeBron James block moment, the Iguodala 2016 block, that one. One that I don't have, but I'd like to have eventually is the Kawhi shot against Philly, the 4-bouncer off the rim. And so a few of these, you can't get in Series 1. And then some of the marquee plays, like Steph Curry breaking the 3-point record, every Ant Edwards dunk that blows up the world every few weeks is fun to have and can't be replaced. And then it's also a game of rookies. So I actually don't own any Wembys right now. But obviously Wemby played a big role in the excitement around Top Shot this series. And yeah, I mean, we don't have to dig it up because it's not a better one of my proudest moments. I put out a message before, a tweet before the draft where Wemby got taken, saying if I had first pick and I was serious about winning, not just filling seats, I would trade the first overall pick. And realistically, I kind of thought Wemby would be like at best Porzingis. That's what I expected, and I was extremely wrong about that. And so I try and just hope no one remembers that tweet. And surprisingly, no one's like replied to that tweet now saying like, "Hey, any thoughts on this?" But yeah, this series has been exciting. They've been really focused on scarcity, on keeping numbers low, on setting rules that they can honor about scarcity, about how many moments each player can have in the set. Fast break has brought a lot of people back to the site that weren't visiting the site, weren't checking in. Even like myself, I spend most of my time on Flowty rather than the site itself for obvious reasons, but can't do fast break from Flowty. So I do pop over to the Top Shot site now, which is good. You see new features they're announcing, new exciting things. And so, yeah, things have definitely been improving, and it's definitely interesting in the face of everything else going on in the rest of NFT land. Like, I'm sure you guys saw that Bored Apes traded below 10 ETH for the first time in a long time today. So I don't know, what do you guys think about the state of Top Shot, especially in the context of everything else in NFT land right now?
Yeah, I love it. I told Brian the other day that because the onboarding, and now you could take out money, right? And you can take out fiat that is not really pegged to crypto, not in a way that Bored Ape is. So it doesn't have the same wild swings because no one's trying to chase the crypto high, and then when it's low, it's the same thing. So yeah, fascinating that I've been talking about Top Shot more this year than any other NFT, which it was quite opposite the last 2 years when NBA Top Shot was just absolutely dropping the ball every chance that they could. I like it, and thankfully I found Flowty this year, and not trying to, because you're a guest on here, but when my friend told me about Flowty, I heard about it, but I never really used it. He goes, "Oh, you got to use it," and just to give you an idea of some arbitrage opportunities that you can do, not only with NBA Top Shop challenges, right? We have a Discord channel for Golden State Warriors dubs. I live in San Francisco, born and raised. I didn't jump on the bandwagon. So don't tell me about the LeBron block because it just brings back really bad memories. but I'm glad you got Damian Lee on the show. So just within that Golden State Top Shot, we have our own contest every single Warriors game, and it requires moments. And for a lot of people, they don't know about Floaty. I went, and one of the requirements was a CP3. I went on Top Shop. I saw it was 40% cheaper on Floaty. I bought like 7 of them, and I started selling into even I mean, I apologize to the captain of the Golden State Warriors NLL commissioner also, and the captain of the Warriors Discord, because he buys on NBA Top Shot, and I was like, he doesn't even know about Floaty, and I'm selling it to him and other people. So yeah, I've been finding a lot of fun with fast break, like he's mentioned, and with just the ways that they're re-engaging people. So I hope to keep that trajectory, and I hope that it kind of breaks the adoption barrier, like the Bored Apes. Some people are really upset with just falling assets, but I hope they're like the shining star out of this cycle, and I think they're doing the right things. How about you, Brian? What do you think?
Top Shot was an interesting world for me because I wasn't this huge pro basketball fan. And then when Top Shot came around, I was like, I like speculative, I like collecting, I like speculative assets. I just like that whole, I love when the price goes up. And Top Shot made me become like a bigger fan because I'm from Pittsburgh originally. We didn't have an NBA team, so didn't have a lot of like loyalties behind a team. Now I have like loyalty behind these players because I like own like a little share of their career almost. And I went down the rabbit hole with Series 1. I love like some of the moments I loved was like the LeBron Kobe dunk. I spent probably more money than I should have on that and should have sold it at the top, but still own it and still like love that moment, and just such a wild time in my NFT world because I was like also speculating on like nifty gateway open editions and like flipping them for thousands. And I was like, is this even real? And now having this as a career and being in Web3s and NFTs, I'm like definitely still into Top Shot, love it. I'm much more particular about moments I personally buy. I've been really trying to acquire as many Series 1 moments that I've always had my eyes on, especially when we saw that dip and there weren't a lot of people on the platform. I was buying like a bunch of those, like I like Vince Carter. I was buying a bunch of those Series 1 Vince Carter moments for a couple $100. And I was like, this feels like free to me, especially where it was at the all-time high. So Series 1's really where I spent a lot of my time. Joe, you've gotten me into a ton of like new packs, but I also pluck after rookies. Not a very serious, like I'm playing it by the book. Series 1 rookies, and that's what I go after. But the one thing about Top Shot that I always will say, it made me an NBA fan. And I don't know how many others are out there like me in that regard, but now I follow these players and I have like a favorite team, and it's very unique.
Who's your favorite team?
I got to share my most favorite moment I pulled. I'm sorry, just for the NBA fans out there. I pulled and reviewed an Allen Iverson, the first debut one on NBA Top Shot, and I have this recorded somewhere on YouTube. And I just jumped out of my seat. I was like, "Oh my god, this is great! This is amazing!" So I just wanted to share that experience because it just brings back a little bit of joy. So that was the number one moment for me, and I still have it. I ain't selling that thing.
So that was actually one of the ones I was going to mention as a non-Series 1 that I really, really like. I've got a decent stack of those, and I think there are 3 moments from that set that are like the Shaq, the AI, and the Wade are 3 really, really nice ones from that set. And yeah, I mean, when we think about Top Shot relative to other NFT projects, I do think that Top Shot is kind of a natural progression from cards. If you talk to a physical card collector and you say, what don't you like about physical cards? A lot of it's like fraud, shipping issues, the expense of like getting your cards graded, when you get a grade back and it's surprisingly low and you start questioning whether or not it's actually a fair grading system. The fact that it can't be that international. You can't go buy a pack of cards if you live outside of the U.S. or maybe Canada also is difficult, and so it's not really that global. And kind of as you check through this, all of these issues are addressed by Top Shot. And to me, especially as the younger generation gets older, the more tech savvy and digital friendly generation that's super comfortable paying money for Minecraft and super comfortable paying money for Roblox assets and whatnot. It seems like a really, really nice fit. And what's been great to see is a little bit of a move away from the kind of speculative assets like, the Moonbirds, even Bored Apes, in a sense of things that it's like, okay, at its core, do you actually get a sense of joy from owning this thing? Or it's, you think number goes up, you think maybe you get an airdrop, you think whatever else, and that's a big part of the appeal. And I think Top Shot does have that joy of ownership, like what you were just saying, Joe. That the Iverson moment or the Kobe tribute moment that you said, Brian, before, or that it gets you closer to basketball. And I kind of like that NFTs have stripped away a little bit of that speculative nature, and people are kind of like, okay, what do I actually want to own? Like, I see you've got a squiggle on your wall there. I also enjoy squiggles and like supporting Snowfro and Art Blocks overall. Like that's a nice story. I like that, and it feels less musical chairs like, and more owning what you actually want to own, which I think is a good thing for Top Shot and a good where we need it to land eventually with NFTs.
Yeah, last word on NFT before we move on to Flowty. I'm sorry, not NFTs. Last word about NBA Top Shot is I think they can really, really narrow their edge on everyone else on the field because, like you said, the experience of ripping, but also the utility. You can see who's the top holders of a Steph Curry, a LeBron James, and I just absolutely loved all the events that they did in Las Vegas as for the NLL. So I do have to say, NLL did have some benefits, and it was absolutely interesting because my arch nemesis is LeBron and the Cavs, but I went top golf with J.R. Smith. I played knockout with Channing Frye. Like, we hate these guys. I mean, we don't really hate them, but the Dubs, and then went at it for like 3-4 years straight. But I was absolutely excited to like play top knockout with them at an NBA Top Shot event. And then Top Shot got me to go top golf with Kevon Looney from the Dubs. So all these NBA Top Shot events, because you own a certain, Warrior set or NLL, or you're a top holder of whatnot, like they can do so much with provenance, like, man, they know who the top fans are, or speculators at least. Who knows if they're the top fans, and they can reward them and engage further and probably extract more liquidity from them because, I mean, if you give them such a great experience, they're not going anywhere. So I think Hopefully Adam Silver's listening. Roham, you better be listening. Hopefully we do get some really good things these next few years for NBA Top Shot.
Yeah, I totally agree. There's a quote that Adam Silver had that gets plastered around Twitter sometimes, which is, we can only fit so many fans in the arena. We need other ways to engage with fans. And I think exactly to your point here, Top Shot's a really, really good way to bring in new fans and to allow people to have a different way to kind of engage with their fandom, with their favorite team, with experiences. And it's a really good way to define who is, a big fan, a big follower. And like, definitely you get mixed in with some speculation and some stacking and whatever else. But as of now, even if someone's a season ticket holder, for example, you don't know that they're actually going to the games. They could be giving the tickets away. They could be, it could be a work thing. It could be they give it away to their family. They could sell it. Whereas NFTs, are like, one thing that I think is underutilized that I'm sure is coming at some point is, you attended a game, scan your Top Shot account at the door, and we'll airdrop you a moment from that game that only people who are at this game are going to receive, something like that. And it's a nice onboarding tool for Top Shot. It's a nice thing for the fan to create a memory from the game, and you just set up a little folder in your account. It's like games that I attended. And otherwise, it all just kind of turns into a blur. And there's really nice opportunities like that, exactly like what you're saying, Joe, to engage with fans. And I think from the NBA's perspective, the data you get from people's interactions and people's history and how long they've had a team as their favorite team, or the number one person on the Steph Curry leaderboard, or whatever else, like, did they get a cool experience, is a really nice, largely untapped opportunity.
Absolutely. I would go in more games.
Like, if I were an NBA owner, I would view this as a sweet thing. Like, wow, what amazing data. Look at this data set that tells me who is, a real true fan, not just, they buy tickets. We don't know what happens with those tickets, but they own this account. They've been to this many games. And yeah, I mean, it would be a nice wrinkle to a game if you get that kind of exclusive airdrop.
Yeah, and get an airdrop of an NBA meme token. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, there you go.
So tell us a little bit about Flowty. I mean, it's the one-stop shop for pretty much all the NFTs you can find on the Flow blockchain. I was checking it out a little bit today. I see you have hoodlums on there. I was a big hoodlums holder. So there's quite a few of these projects in your marketplace here that really resonate with me. But would love to kind of have you tell the audience a little bit about Flowty, what you're trying to build, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the opportunity. So I'd say late in 2020, I started taking the NFT thing more seriously. I was building up my Top Shot collection. A lot of the early people in Top Shot were CryptoKitties holders, Punks holders, all these kinds of things. So I was starting to kind of broaden my horizons, learn about NFTs in general, and became pretty convinced that NFTs would be a big thing and would make their way to being viewed as a normal asset class, similar to collectibles, real estate, cars, art, anything like that. And what's consistent across all of those asset classes is that they are pretty heavily financialized. You can do just about anything with them. You can borrow against them. You can store them in a vault. You can sell them. You can buy them. You can take out loans against them. You can do purchase financing with them. All these kinds of things. Lots and lots of options. Like, some of them have options and derivative trades you can do around them, like, especially with sports collectibles these days. So lots of things, but it wasn't really that built up around NFTs. And so I got together with a friend that I met in the early Top Shot days, and we said, let's build out a loan platform around NFTs that fills a need. And a few times in the early days, there would be people who say, like, hey, I need $1,000 in liquidity, can't get it right now. If I send you this Top Shot moment, can you send me $1,000? And then I'll send you back 1,000, whatever, maybe like 1,050 if they want to throw me something, and I'll send them back their Top Shot moment. And the initial product we built was a peer-to-peer loan platform that addresses that exact use case, but in a trustless way. You don't have to trust the counterparty. And so the way it works is it's much like a pawn shop. You take an NFT you own, you put up a listing in our marketplace that says, I want to borrow $1,000. I'll repay $1,100 in 90 days, let's call it. And if I don't pay you back, you get the underlying NFT. And it all happens automatically. If the borrower doesn't repay, the NFT automatically transfers to the lender account. As soon as the borrower does repay, the NFT comes back to the borrower account. And so if anyone needs liquidity, it's a really nice option for them. If anyone is sitting on big gains and doesn't want to trigger capital gains taxes, for example, depending on tax code and whatever else, you can borrow against your NFT instead of selling it and realize some liquidity without triggering those taxes. If you want to increase your buying power, we've got a few people who come in and basically every moment they buy, they'll take out a loan against it so they can keep stacking, keep building up their collection, with the idea being to play with a little bit more leverage, expand their outcomes. Those are all options. And then on the lender side of things, you can go through a pretty interesting analysis where you, and then on the lender, I think it's worth $5,000. Paid my loan in 90 days, I receive this NFT instead of getting back $1,100. So if I think it's worth $5,000, in a sense, I'm actually hoping they don't repay. So now I'm looking at a scenario where it's a win-win of either I make $100 of interest or I get this NFT well below market value. And the risk you're taking as a lender is somewhere during the term of that loan, the NFT value falls from $5,000 to $300, and then the borrower likely won't repay, and you'll get an NFT that's worth less than your loan amount. And for that risk, you get the upside of interest or a cheap NFT. And so it's a pretty interesting way to play Top Shot. We have a few pretty loyal lenders who are making a handful of loans each week, and they all really like it. You run some pretty interesting analysis. Will this moment's value hold up over the next 30 days? Or will I get interest back? And so anyway, so that was our initial product. Then we rolled out an NFT rentals feature, and that was really built around Top Shot challenges. And so what used to happen with challenges is they would say, okay, the top three people who scored the most points in tonight's basketball games, if you have all of them on your team, you can unlock a new pack or an airdrop or whatever it is. And so what people would do is if they have a stack of, let's call it Currys or LeBrons, and they hit, then you have two choices. Your moment's going to be temporarily inflated in value because it hit in the challenge. You can sell it, or realistically, before our product existed, you can just kind of sit on it and say, like, I want to own it long term, so I'm just going to forego these financial gains. But what we allowed you to do then is to rent out your NFT to someone else. They get to own it for a 48-hour period, participate in the Flash Challenge. You get a few bucks for renting it out to allow you to keep the NFT, but capitalize on the fact that it hit. And it's really a win-win-win because it makes it a lot more appealing to stack. Whereas now, when people are using it for fast break now, whereas before that, it really felt like, okay, I should have one of most good players, but more than one is kind of inefficient. You almost don't want them to hit the Flash Challenge then. So it allowed people to monetize it and allowed other people to say, like, hey, I want to play these Flash Challenges, but I don't have the money up front to pay for a LeBron or a Curry or whatever else it is. And so that was NFT rentals. And then last year in January, so 15 months ago, we released a traditional marketplace, a buy-sell marketplace that's effectively like OpenSea, but on Flow. And what we're proud of on the marketplace side of things is that it's fully permissionless and fully open. So as long as you have an NFT collection on Flow, you can buy and sell them on Flowty. And we're actually the only platform on Flow that allows you to do that. And it's a really important component of a blockchain to allow a creator to be able to come, mint an NFT collection, and have a secondary marketplace ready to go. Whereas a lot of people, because of how Top Shot's built, because of how some of the other platforms like UFC Strike, NFL All Day, Susables, a lot of how these platforms are built, people assume you need to build your own marketplace, which means if you're a creator with not that much funding, or if you're a small team and you don't have the resources to build your own marketplace, you're not going to launch on Flow. And so we play a pretty important role in the ecosystem and enabling creators to have a marketplace off the shelf without any additional investment from them. And that's the platform in a nutshell. We can talk about kind of recent performance, but before we get there, any questions, any thoughts?
No, just how much you guys have done is really impressive, because I want to use it for the transaction side. Now I'm going to win all the fast break challenges because I didn't even tap into the rentals. And now I have a reason to stack because I could be financialized to lend or, now there's a reason for me to stack versus before I'm like, why would I stack? But there's actually upside using Flowty. And there's a whole new world of game theory that you unfortunately reviewed to me, and I'm going to spend more time on this than I should now.
There you go.
Yeah, the rental idea is a great idea, man. It's I didn't even realize I didn't even realize that was eligible until you brought it up and the game theory behind it. So hats off to you for coming up with such a innovative idea, and definitely people in the audience who are big Top Shot fans should definitely check out that platform because that's a sharp way to do it. In your secondary sales, we were briefly talking about this before we jumped in. Looks like they've absolutely been smashing it. If I'm looking at this tweet correctly, it's up 16x in 3 months. Is that accurate? That's not buffered in, right?
No, that's accurate. So looking back to around end of November last year,
Yeah.
we were doing around 1,000 total sales per week, which is fine. It's 140, 150 per day. Not bad. But around that time, we did a few different things that we think have helped us. One of them is bulk listing. So for anyone who's tried to move any material number of Top Shot moments in a short period of time, it's really, really painful to list on Dapper's marketplace one at a time. The loading takes a while. We brought out a feature that allows you to list up to 75 moments in one shot. And what's really, really nice about it is that it has OTMs. Does the listener know what OTM is? Let's assume no. OTM is an analytics platform on Flow that provides lots and lots of data around Top Shot around all day. They're awesome. We actually have a partnership with them now. And so they have an estimated value or fair market value, FMV, for every single Top Shot moment, every single all day moment. That value is embedded in Flowty. And so if you want to bulk list 75 moments at once, but you don't have embedded NFT, you have to go one at a time and say, okay, this one, let me go check over here. It's worth $20. So I'm going to list it for $19.50 or whatever it is. This one's worth $6. I'm going to list it for $5. Instead, what we allow you to do is you can bulk list in one of three ways. One of them is you can just choose the exact same price for every moment. And so if you want to say everything I'm listing for $1, for example, you can do that. The second one is you can set everything exactly equal to its FMV. And so that grabs the data from OTM and just says, I'm going to list these at their exact FMV. And the third one is you can do a discount to FMV. So that third one is what most people do. If you're trying to sell a bunch of moments to raise money, you need money for something in real life, anything, you click a bunch of moments and you go to bulk list and you say, I want to do a 10% discount to FMV, and we automatically do that for you. And so generally that becomes a pretty attractive listing, and those get picked up really, really quickly. And part of the reason they get picked up quickly is that we have a partnership with Live Token now. And so Live Token's another analytics site that has a deals page on it. And Live Token Deals looks for both Flowty listings and Top Shot listings that are below a certain threshold. And if it meets that threshold, it shows up on this deals page and gives you a direct link to Flowty. And so the combination of being able to bulk list at a discount, and then have those deals show up on this deals page that lots and lots of people track led to a lot more sales. And it's a nice flywheel effect because then sellers are coming to Flowty for a number of different reasons. But one of them is that we have lower seller fees. So we can talk about that as well. They put up listings. They get a much faster sale, so they're emboldened to put up more listings on Flowty, and they start saying, why am I paying higher fees on Top Shot? If I can put it on Flowty, it moves quickly, it's easier to list. And then buyers see more listings on Flowty, and they're saying, I don't need to shop on Top Shot. The best deals are on Flowty, and it kind of creates a really, really nice cycle of shortening the time from list to sale, which is a key metric that we look at without any actual data. We just watch it to see hopefully it's narrowing over time.
Let's talk about the fees because I've been reselling packs, thankfully, and doing really well. The demand seems to be there. The gamification seems to be there. And you might not have the answer yet, but yeah, when are pack sales going to Flowty? Because NBA Top Shop takes a pretty hefty fee, 5%. Not crazy, right? But they're not like eBay. I mean, it seems the overhead's a lot less, but your fees are substantially less. Can you talk about that and what potential packs coming into Flowty?
Yeah, so our fees are 2% versus Top Shot's 5%, which is nice. It's especially on larger deals. So just as a metric around that, the 5 largest deals across the entire Flow blockchain last year happened on Flowty, and 12 of the top 14. And Then this year, the top sale is $60,000, and that was on Flowty also. And at that scale, the extra 3% savings is pretty significant. And so people make their way over for that, which is nice. And then it was like what we talked about before. There's reason to list, and now there are more ways for buyers to find listings. And so it's really tightening that down. Because before, the issue we had was Top Shot has every moment listed in some capacity on their site. And so if you have a specific moment in mind, you might not want to bother checking Flowty because you don't know if that moment is up for sale. And we have more and more listings coming through now. So we're getting a lot more listings. And so in answer to your packs question, the way Top Shot packs work is a little bit different in that old packs that people have in their inventory are actually technically not NFTs. When you list that pack in the pack marketplace, Top Shot issues an NFT that represents that pack, basically. And so we don't have the capacity to do that on our end. We kind of need them in order to do that. And so technically, after you've listed a pack in the Top Shot marketplace, you then own that NFT. You could theoretically take that NFT and put it on Flowty. But then the second problem for us is that those packs don't have metadata in them. There's an off-chain way that Top Shot tracks the pack type and the contents of the pack and all that we don't have access to either. So we could just say like pack 12, no one knows what it is. It's dangerous for users. And so one, we don't have access to the NFTs because they aren't NFTs. And two, we don't have access to that data. And so we've talked to them about it. And over time, we should be able to get there. But in the near term, it's a little bit difficult.
Wow. I'm learning all sorts of things. Flowty is something that I wish the whole world knew. At the same time, I want to keep it closely guarded so I can only take advantage of it.
Tell everyone it'll be a better experience if everyone knows.
Yeah. You not only have NBA Top Shop, you have every other project, not every other project, but a lot of Flow projects. Let's speak on maybe just NBA Top Shop, maybe we can expand on others, but what's been the core data that you've seen? I know it's a high level question that, you can answer any which way, but I'm sure you're learning a ton from the data. If there's any you could pick that's been like kind of game changing for you guys or kind of just surprising.
Yeah. So I think it's a few different things. So first, we're definitely correlated with overall Dapper Sports and specifically Top Shot. So for a while, we were hovering in the kind of 5 to 10% of Top Shot's overall activity from both a number of sales and a dollar volume of sales standpoint. And now with the Live Token partnership, the Own the Moment partnership, we've done some sponsored deals with some of the content creators in the ecosystem, getting more eyeballs. We topped out at around kind of 20 to 25% of Top Shot's marketplace volume, which is a pretty sizable number. So we hope to be able to retain that. And these days, Top Shot does in aggregate about $100,000 of sales per day. In its heyday, there were days when it hit $50 million per day. And so our general feeling is if they can get anywhere near where they were before, we're talking many multiples of where they are today. And if we can maintain something close to our market share, we'll be in a nice position there. But from a number of transactions standpoint, I mentioned before we were doing about 1,000 per week at the end of November. These days we're doing in the neighborhood of 2,000 per day, and so that 16x number you said before, we're up, in the range of 16 to 20x from where we were at the end of November now, which is really, really nice. And I think it's a combination of word of mouth. We've made some design improvements on our site. We've actually de-emphasized loans and rentals, and part of the reason is it kind of muddied the picture for our marketing, where it's a little bit of a complicated story. It's like marketplace, but also loans, but also rentals. A lot of people in the Top Shot streets, which is I think a good thing, are relatively unsophisticated crypto-wise, and they hear about scams and they don't fully even understand that you can port over your Dapper wallet from Top Shot to Flowty. And so trying to just really, really, really streamline what do we do well, what addresses the greatest need, and focus on that, and then let the more advanced users discover things on their own or like seek out additional knowledge is kind of what we've pivoted toward. And we've moved the UI in that direction too. And so we used to have a general marketplace page that had NFTs from every collection on one page, with the idea being it can help people discover new types of NFTs it's a kind of more colorful and fun marketplace. And we found that it didn't really resonate with people. People didn't want to see NFTs from other collections that they weren't looking for. So instead, we've gone to more of the kind of open sea approach, which is pick your collection you want to see, and then we're only going to show you NFTs from that collection specifically, which I think has gone well. It's helped people find filters on our site. For a while, that was a big thing. We have very sophisticated filters, actually more than Top Shot has, and sometimes people couldn't find them. So we've done a lot of work around our UI, is the short of it, and so I think all of that has helped in a big way. And then we've been talking about it. Top Shot's had a nice series overall, so the increased momentum from that really helps as well.
Can I ask why there's no badge filter on there?
You can, because badges are not on chain; they are off chain.
Oh my gosh!
And you know what else is off chain? Rarity tier. So we can we can hit Top Shot's API to request this information. Tier is easier because tier is fixed at mint, and so as soon as a new mint comes out, we listen to the blockchain and we say, okay, what is the rarity tier that is being reported? Like the API is connected. We tap them and we say, what's the rarity tier in these new NFTs? And we then add it to the NFT, and we never have to update that again. Whereas badges do change after the fact. MVP badge and Rookie of the Year badge in particular change after the fact. And so that makes it a lot more complicated. And we also don't, like, if they add a new kind of badge, like they added Championship Year badge, like, I don't know, a year after Top Shot came out, which means you had to retroactively add it to everything else. And there have been something like 55 million Top Shot moments. Right now, they're like 30 million because so many have been burned. But it's a lot. It's heavy on our system to have to go back and re-ingest all of them over and over and over again. So we're in the process of trying to advocate for them to put badges on chain before we go and go through the headache of trying to come up with a solution to add badges as a filter option. But question for you as a user, this is good, user feedback. Do you view that as something that's super, super important or just nice to have?
I guess because I'm more sophisticated, nice to have, but I could see the average person being a little bit frustrated going through the tiers and whatnot, looking, because in the tier 1, you could have 1 moment, 3 or 10, right? For some people. So I was looking for, certain ones, and it would just be nice to have for me personally, not a need to have. Yeah.
You're not the only one, and it's definitely something we're looking into. So we're pushing to put it on chain, but they're focusing on what they need to do for their platform, which makes sense. Yeah. But others, we would love to have them on chain.
Well, super cool to just hear about all that you have coming, or we actually didn't talk about that, which is probably a good segue into I don't really want to wrap things up, but I want to ask this: what's coming up next? Are we going to see you guys in person, or there's more? What's the plan ending 2024, and what's going to move the needle for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, so we're heading into the off season now for both football and basketball, and realistically speaking, as much as we built our platform to support a much wider ecosystem that goes well beyond Dapper Sports, right now the primary aspects of the ecosystem are Dapper Sports. We spent a lot of time trying to work with and partner with non-Dapper Sports collections. So I don't know if you guys have ever tried Dimension X. It's a game platform on Flow it's pretty popular. And I don't know what the daily average user count was in their heyday, but today it's around 1,000, which is pretty good for a game. And they've moved their marketplace activity over to Flowty, which is great. And we talked to we work closely with the Hoodlums team. We're working closely with the Ballers team now in some initiatives, and we're trying to bolster the non-Dapper Sports part of the ecosystem because we do think that's kind of critical for Flow overall. And to make it known among creators who are considering a blockchain that we exist, we're an off-the-shelf not only marketplace but also loan and rental platform that's will work right away for your platform. We have very thorough dev documents, so that's where we're spending a lot of our time now. There's some feature development that we want to be doing as well. Like we want to leverage our loan platform to be able to offer people purchase financing. So if you want to buy a moment, you don't have the cash today, you then kind of work with a lender, or you can kind of put up prospective terms, we'll call it. They buy the moment, you give them milestone payments, and until you finish your payments, the moment's held in kind of smart contract escrow. And if you miss a milestone payment, the NFT goes to the lender. But it allows you to buy a moment you don't have cash for today, kind of the layaway. You've seen what is it, Klarna? What's it, or Karma? I don't know what the site is, where you can buy like a coffee with 4 payments of like $1.64 each.
Yeah.
It's like that, but hopefully bigger numbers. Yeah. And so that's something that it's probably a little ways away, but it's a big part of what we view as the future. And also the idea of selling to repay. And so right now, if you have a loan outstanding with an NFT and you want to repay the loan, you need the money to repay it, even if you're going to sell the NFT as soon as you get it back. So that becomes a little bit of a pain. It's almost like if you're selling your house and you have a mortgage, you need to repay your mortgage, then sell the house as 2 separate events. And so we'd like to introduce the ability to do the following: is you can, if an NFT is in smart contract escrow because it's in the middle of a loan, you can list that NFT in our marketplace for anything above the repayment amount, so that if it sells, the repayment amount gets diverted to the lender, they're taken care of, and anything above that amount goes to you. And then you don't need the liquidity to repay the loan, which makes it a much nicer experience and helps our marketplace along the way. And so more advanced, more complicated features like that. And then one thing we don't have right now is collection offers. And part of the reason we don't have that is, and collection offers, just to be clear, is you say, I will buy any Top Shot moment for, let's call it $1, or any Dimension X NFT for $5. It's, the whole, when everyone talks about floor prices in the ETH world and what the Bored Ape floor prices or the Punk floor price, that's collection offers, basically. That doesn't really exist on Flow right now. And part of the reason is that Dapper Wallet is a really, really complicated crypto wallet. It's not really a crypto wallet. It's more, we can have a whole episode on that. But they don't support collection offers right now. And so we can do it, but only off of Dapper Wallet. And most activity happens within Dapper Wallet. So it hasn't been a priority for us, but we want to get there eventually to collection offers. And then we've got a few other things. Actually, last week we did a company retreat. It was our first time getting the team all together in person. We had one guy in from Australia, one guy in from Brazil, and we went to Austin, Texas. It was a good time. We played a little pickleball together, which was nice. And we did a 1-day hackathon on a project which we should be hopefully announcing over the next month or two. And yeah, lots more to come. But it's been nice momentum, which is good.
That sounds amazing. I am getting excited talking about NBA Top Shot again. A little bit bullish because I didn't know the data. I didn't know they burned from 55 to down to 30 something. That sounds great to me, like on a high level. They keep moving that direction. I mean, that sounds good. Just hearing that. But yeah, it's been amazing just to see what you guys have been doing and will be doing. So super, super excited to keep following your journey and seeing what you guys unfolding. I really want to meet you in person. I'm not sure if you're going to be at NBA Top Shot events or any conferences like that. Love to get some.
I've got a little baby, so I've got a 7-month-old at home, which is it's just keeping me anchored.
Same 7-month-old.
Yes, even more reason to get together. What do you have, a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Nice. I also do. Nice. A future Warriors, Knicks, and then a little bit of Cavs rivalry. Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
Well, Brian,
what's that?
I was seeing if you had any last words for once we have Mike's time. I know he's probably got more information. We could probably do another episode. We would love to have you back for another episode.
That'd be great. If you guys would have me, I'd love to.
I thought we were talking about kid counts there. I have 4 kids.
You do?
I was like, yeah.
How do you feel about 4? Because my wife and I were like, is 4 a lot? Is it not a lot? It feels like a lot, but I kind of want that chaos.
It's chaos, but I'll be the first one to admit that I did not think, like, if you asked me 15 years ago, do you think you're going to have 4 kids? I'd be like, 1, maybe 2, that, when everyone thinks that way, but I have a lot of fun. So we started off with twins to begin with. So the first pregnancy, I should say, were twins. And then we had a third, and then we had a fourth. And I love it, man. Can't get enough of it. You guys are in great years. I tell Joe all the time, like 7 months, man, it gets better every single day. It's cliche to say. My youngest is 3 years old, and he's a boy, and he's an absolute bruiser. I walk out of my office right now, I'll probably punch me in my, you know what, and like think it's hilarious. And I'm like, as I'm on one knee starting to tear up, I'm like, it was pretty funny. You know, I was like, you got me that time. So I like it, man. I would have a fifth, to be completely honest with you. My wife has kind of told me that's never going to happen.
It's easier for us to say.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm all about it, man. We have a good time. We are McNuts, you know. It's just like a Doyle rules, like rolling around everywhere we go. So as an outsider, I say you do it.
All right, I like it. I'll let my wife know.
All right, we have to end it on this. Playing tournament starting. Is it today or tomorrow? It's tomorrow. What's the predictions here? Who you got?
So I just saw Lakers are underdogs to the Pellies, which is kind of interesting. Not super surprising. The Pellies have played well. I'll say I'm a huge LeBron homer, so I'll take Lakers over Pellies. I'll take Warriors over Kings. This is most basic bitch pick so far. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse, but so far that it is. Then I'll take Bulls Hawks. I don't know. Can they just tie at like 10? That's not a real game. Whoever wins that game is going to lose to the Heat, who the Sixers are going to beat. So I'll take Lakers, Warriors, Sixers, and Hawks and Bulls. Does not matter. And then, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, we're not experts here, but so who you got coming out of East and West, and then finally who you got taking the whole thing?
So I guess I'll say the Celtics. They've been kind of absurd all year. Their point differential is crazy. They're super, super deep, and like everyone else is banged up. Giannis is hurt. Randall's out for the year at the Knicks, and like OG's been in and out. Cavs are, I don't know, they're okay. Magic are a little too young. They seem like they're a couple years away. Embiid's just coming back. Pacers have been a little nasty in the second half of the year. Heat, I don't know, they're on borrowed time. So East, I don't know who else. So I'll say Celtics, even though I should say Knicks. Out of the West, that is going to be a bloodbath and a half. I'll have a little fun here. I'll take Mavericks coming out of the West, and then I'll take Celtics to beat the Mavericks.
Nice. No thoughts on OKC?
I don't know. They're young. They've got good numbers. Good. Their actual advanced numbers are pretty good, and they were number one almost wire to wire, which is pretty impressive. I feel like people defer to Denver a little too easily. Like Denver, it wouldn't have been that crazy if they lost to the Suns last year. Realistically, like they went to 6 games. They definitely could have lost, and if they lost that, like no one would say this exact same team is a foregone conclusion. Like I don't know. I'm a little bearish on Denver relative to everyone else who's just saying they're going to waltz into the finals. OKC's fun. I wouldn't mind seeing them win. I mean, look, OKC Pelicans in the first round. If the Lakers beat the Pelicans and the Pelicans beat the Warriors, that's kind of an interesting series. I don't know. The West is just so tough. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this is finally a season where I just get to enjoy basketball. Yeah. Like the last few years with the Warriors has been interesting. I actually met Chet at an elevator at Summer League last year, kind of rooting for him because I was like, "Hey, Rookie of the Year," and he looked me dead in the eye, looked down on me actually. He's like, "Playoffs or bust." I was like, "Okay, this guy's focused." Yeah, I like that. But I actually have another question. Although I hope Warriors come out 10th to win, which is not going to happen. Whatever. How did you like the new format during the season?
The in-season tournament?
Season. Yeah, how'd you like that?
I don't know. Like, look, the regular season does get a little stale, so it spiced things up a little bit. I don't know how to think of it because the Lakers won it, and then people were saying, should they put a banner up? Should they not? Is it a joke? Is it not a joke? And they did have to play an extra game, which is kind of interesting. It did kind of mess with their schedule a little bit. Like you don't rest players the way you would have otherwise. And so I don't love muddying the water like that for something that's like unclear what it means. And like it does affect things at the end. It's not a huge way, but it affects rest schedules. What if someone gets hurt in that extra game? You're traveling a little bit more. You've got a little bit more spotlight, a little bit more like media attention. From a fan standpoint, I like the mid-season entertainment. I don't like that it muddies the kind of purity of the year in a sense, like that it affects things going forward. And like some people thought it negatively impacted the Pacers for a second. I think, sorry, it was the Lakers because the Pacers had a nice run also. The Lakers are terrible after the in-season tournament. And look, we'll see what happens. I'm sure more data will come out. but it kind of interrupts the main prize for a little bit. So I don't know, mixed feelings. What do you guys think?
I think my baby was born in that time, so I don't think I was even watching anything. When was that? Yeah, I'm genuinely.
Don't get me in trouble. Our babies were born at a
was.
similar time, but I have a long answer for you.
Well, this is you're doing it for work every day. You have to.
That's
watch.
true. That's true.
Well, where can let's just yeah, we got so much more to talk about. We're definitely gonna get you back. Where can people find you if people want to find you? You want people to find you, that is, and what's the best way to connect with you or Flowty?
Yeah, so Flowty's simple. It's just floaty.io, and hopefully we've made our UI so it's pretty self-explanatory from there. I'm pretty active on Twitter, sadly active, we'll say, and my name there is MBL267_NFT. And then Flowty's Twitter is Flowty_IO. And so those are probably the best places to find us. Flowty's Twitter has a link tree attached to it where you can find our Discord. You can find frequently asked questions, our merch store, all that good stuff. And yeah, would love to hear from anyone with questions. Love to chat Top Shot. Love to chat NFTs. Doesn't have to be about Flowty. If you want to use Flowty, great. If you have questions about it, great. If you want to talk about something that you end up buying on Top Shot, also totally fine.
Awesome. Well, we'll put it down all on the show notes down below. I already got ideas for our next show. We're just going to talk an hour straight about things that Roham can improve, and I'm going to email it straight into his box.
There you go.
It's been a pleasure having you on, Mike, and I can't wait for us to meet in real life and our little ones, and what's going to happen at the end of this season. So stoked for NBA Top Shot, what you guys doing, what you guys got going on, and you guys are already taking some of my money. You expect to see a little bit more of it after this.
I appreciate it. Well, thank you guys very much for having me on. I thought that this was a great time. It was a lot of fun, and excited to be back on in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.